Uh, Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared. Right?
You call it selling out your principles. I call it fucking winning. And that's my principle. To win as a socialist, not to lose as a socialist. That's not my principle. I don't give a fuck about principled failure. Principled failure is worth dog shit.
You know, there are some things that when you hear it for the first time, you just can't ignore it. So I'm going to play this one more time just in case you didn't miss it as well.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared. Right?
You call it selling out your principles. I call it fucking winning. And that's my principle. To win as a socialist, not to lose as a socialist. That's not my principle. I don't give a fuck about principled failure. Principled failure is worth dog shit.
Alright, now this is something of a bit of a rabbit hole, a few loose contingencies, but when we discussed it on stream over the whole Sam Harris nonsense, I started to draw a few unsettling similarities between Sam Harris and good old grifter Vaush, and it comes in the form of their origins, their upbringing. Sam Harris is apparently a graduate student of intelligentsia, known as one of the four horsemen of atheism. We joke that he was, famine, something insignificant that you don't even think of, because the main horsemen that you think of are, war and death. So, he's definitely one of the minor horsemen, the one that you don't really care to give a damn or think much about. But here's the similarities that we unearthed between good old Sam Harris in his early years. Samuel Benjamin Sam Harris was born on April 9th, 1967 in Los Angeles, California, the USA. His mother is a TV producer, Susan Harris, a secular Jew, and his father is actor Berkeley Harris, who belongs to a Quaker background. Harris was raised by his mother after his parents divorced when he was 2. He once stated that his upbringing was completely secular and that his parents hardly discussed religion. He went on to attend Stanford to study English. He moved to Nepal in India, where he studied Hindu and Buddhism, although he is an avowed atheist at this time. Even still, he returned to Stanford, earning his bachelor's degree in philosophy in year 2000. Later, he enrolled at University of California, Los Angeles, where he received his PhD in cognitive neuroscience in year 2009. This is strikingly similar in both origin and education and environment as our dear Vaush. Now, Vaush's early life, there's very little information here, but it says Ian Kukinski. Yes, you can laugh at Kukinski, it's okay. I laugh many a time. Every time I'm reminded of his full name, it is never not funny. Was born on February 14th, 1994 in Los Angeles, California. He is of Irish and Polish descent. His father, Mark, is a visual effects artist who worked at Hollywood, and his mother, Julie, is a filmmaker. He grew up in Beverly Hills. So here we have two individuals, both of the, shall we say, Californian persuasion, both raised in a highly, highly secular environment. Harris, who didn't have a father figure when he was young, they divorced when he was 2, raised mostly by his mother and in a secular upbringing. And then we have socialist Vaush, whose both of his parents, who funded his education at Humboldt University, I believe that it was, also lived in a secular lifestyle. Now, what is peculiar is not the total similarities of their ideology. For me, what is far more comparable and understandable is the slide. of generational gap between what is considered acceptable from one era and how these similar secular degeneration of principles, and that is what it can only be explained as, is the degeneration of secular principles throughout time. Guys, hand of God, Vaush is going to be the new Sam Harris. Unironically, unfucking ironically, if you take into consideration their social upbringing, the pressures that surround them, the kind of culture that they're inundated with, and the kind of mentality that they grew up around, it is highly, highly likely, and not just unironically, we are looking at Vaush becoming the future Sam Harris, and we're looking at Sam Harris in the past. Sam Harris in the past was just as immoral, just as unprincipled, and just as inconsistent as Vaush when he was younger, in his younger days. As seen, he went from liberal, classically liberal California, although a little lefty loony still, but he went off and ran to Hindu and Buddhist religious teachers for 11 years, and then returned to Stanford. You are watching what happens with the secular slide of degenerative principles as these secularists age. And that should be a warning shot. This clear comparison from Sam Harris and Vaush, and the generational gap between them, and the radical difference between them, should give anyone considering principled atheism sincere pause and a little trepidation when they try to, shall we say, reinforce a new vision of atheism plus, or something like unto. We are not at a point where we can move forward as a moral society without religion. And Sam Harris and the Sam Harris-Vaush pipeline, the generational slide, the generational deterioration of principle, is ultimately the same phenomenon. It's just at a different place, because we have allowed society to deteriorate in atheist secular paradigms. And we're just going to play the clip again one more time, just so you get the message. Stay carnal, and God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared. Right.
You call it selling out your principles. I call it fucking winning. And that's my principle. To win as a socialist, not to lose as a socialist. That's not my principle. I don't give a fuck about principled failure. Principled failure is worth dog shit.